Okay. So, all right, here we go. So on number 6, first of all, what's the power? So it's 5, and the leading coefficient is negative. So what does the end behavior look like? Up and down, right? So it's up and down. So the limit as x goes to a positive infinity is negative infinity, and the limit as x goes to negative infinity is positive infinity. So what's the power on the next one? 4. It's positive, so the end behavior is up and up. So the limit as x goes to infinity is positive infinity. The limit as x goes to negative infinity is positive infinity. Two, 1, and 1. Okay. So, hey, you guys, there's lots of like individual conversations going on. If you guys need to have your conversations, we can be done. I'm glad you're not talking, Isaac. All right, so to sketch this, so 8, 9, or 10, y'all pick one. I'll do one of them. Okay, so number 9. First of all, put in your x-intercepts. So it's 0, 5, and negative 2. So the next thing I want to look is what is the degree? 5, and it's negative. So we already know what that looks like, right? It's up and down. The next thing I need is the y-intercept. So it's 0, 0, so it's right there. The next, before I go on now, I want to look. At 0 is a bump. So at 0, I have to have a bump. At 5, I get a bump. At negative 2, the exponent is 1, so I have to go through. So if it goes through, and this is a bump, and this is a bump, where is the rest of the graph? Is it on top or on bottom? It's on the bottom, so it's going to look like bump, bump. Okay, on number 12, take off the 2. Yes, in the factor. Okay, turn it to number 13. Okay. So, look at 13 and 14. What's the difference between the two? One gives you the factor, and one gives you the point you're testing, correct? So, what do I have to do with the factor when I use synthetic division? I have to set this equal to 0, right? So I'm testing here negative 3. But what am I testing up here? It stays negative 3, right? Okay, so let's do number 13. If I test negative 3, yeah, this isn't right. Negatives. This is negative 14. So it's a positive 14, and this is 42. I was going to say, this needs to be 52. All right, so it's negative 52 here. So when it asks f of negative 3, what's the answer? Because that's what it's looking for. It's the negative 52. Mm-hmm. So this is the point on the polynomial. It's the negative 3, negative 52. When it's asking if it's a factor or not, what do I want the remainder to be? 0. So if I test negative 3, bless you. So I get 3, 8, and what comes next? 0 and 9. Are you sure? So x plus 3 is a factor. So, well, what would that be, Cassie? 0 plus 3 would be 3. Oh, yeah. Because I wrote negative to start, and I wrote over the top of it. Okay. Given one factor, factor the factors completely. That's a lot of factor words. But we're going to do synthetic division. So x plus 4 is a factor because I got a 0. But what's the suppressed equation that's left? And so you have to factor this also. You really do. So I get 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 2. And can I reduce one of them? I can. So I get 2x plus 3 and x minus 1. But what was the original factor that we tested? So you have to have all three of them to get credit. Okay, so the rational root theorem, this is where we're going to list all the possible factors. So first of all, which one goes on top, the 8 or the 6? 8 goes on top, 6 goes on bottom. So this is what I get. I get plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 4, and plus or minus 8. And on bottom, the factors of 6, plus or minus 1, 2, 3, and 6. But I wrote them all. Yeah. So I'm going to start with the 1. Plus or minus 1. So I get plus or minus 1, 2, 4, and 8. And then I'm going to go to the 2. So I get plus or minus a half. But 2 divided by 2 is 1. I already have that. 4 divided by 2 is 2. I already have that. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And I already have that. So I'm going to go to the 3. So I get plus or minus 1/3. Plus or minus 2/3. Plus or minus 4/3. And plus or minus 8/3. Then I'm going to go to the 6. Plus or minus 1/6. The 2/6 reduces to 1/3. I already have that. The 4/6 reduces to 2/3. I already have that. And the 8/6 reduces to 4/3, and I already have that. So that's my list. So it was a long list this time, but it's not hard. Nothing is hard. That is easy. It's a lot of writing, but there's nothing hard, right? We're just doing the factors. Yeah, you should have been here yesterday. Instead of us, yeah, we were busy too. List the positive roots. So this is positive, negative, negative, and negative. How many sign changes? 1. Who said 2? How many times does it shift from positive to negative? Is 1. So 1 positive root. So if I put a negative x in, this is negative, this is negative, this becomes positive, and that's negative. 2 or 0 negative roots. Okay, we didn't do number 18. If you want. It's not on the test. It's going to be a surprise. Okay, so this one, you put down all the roots. I want less than or equal to, so I want negative answers. So I'm going to test each section. So start that. Yes. We're good. Okay. What? Okay, so if I'm testing, I have to test a number on this side, boys. So if I test -5, if I put -5 in here, it's negative. If I put a negative in here, it's negative, but negative squared becomes positive. Negative in here is a negative, and -5 in here is also negative. So I get negative, positive, and positive, which is negative. So this is part of my answer. So it gets a solid circle, and it goes this way. So when you tested -3, it what? -3 gives me a negative. -3 here gives me a negative, but squared gives me positive. -3 is positive. -3 here is negative. So this is positive, and this is not included. Oh, I thought you said it worked. If I put 0 in here, I'm sorry, what? If I put 0 in here, I get negative. 0 gives me positive, positive, and negative. So this ends up positive, and it's not part. Oh, I did the same thing twice. Bummer. Oh, no, that was this one. Sorry. I just wrote it in the wrong place. So what am I going to test between 2 and 3? All right. So 2.5 gives me negative. That gives me positive, positive, and positive. So this is negative. So this gets included. Let's try one more. 4. That gives me positive, 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 and positive. So this is positive, and it's not included. So my answer is from -infinity to -4 with 2 to 3. If it doesn't have a line, but that does have a line, so it's a closed circle.